Your cat watches you every day. You move, speak, reach for things, and they follow it all without missing a moment. It feels like they understand you, like they see you the way you see them, but if that's true, why do they sometimes stare right through you? You've probably noticed it. You call their name, stand right in front of them, and for a second there's nothing. No reaction, no recognition, just a distant look, like you're not even there. Most people assume it's indifference, that cats are simply aloof, choosing when to care and when not to. But what if that moment isn't distance at all? What if it's something much deeper? Something that means your cat experiences you in a completely different way than you ever imagined. And if you understand what's really happening in that quiet pause, you might start seeing your cat differently than ever before. Something about this doesn't fully make sense. Cats are observant, incredibly aware. They notice the smallest movement, the faintest sound, and even changes in your mood that you don't notice yourself. So how can a creature that's sensitive sometimes look at you and not react at all? Here's what most people don't realize. Your cat isn't ignoring you. They're processing you, not as a face, not as a clear image the way humans do, but as something more complex, a combination of movement, sound, scent, and presence. To your cat, you're not a fixed picture, you're a pattern. And patterns don't need constant confirmation. Once they're familiar, they become background, safe, known, trusted. That moment when your cat seems to not see you isn't absence, it's certainty. And that changes something important, because if your cat doesn't need to constantly check who you are, it means they already know, deeply, almost automatically. And if you really understand what that means, the way you interpret every quiet moment with your cat is about to shift. And here's where everything shifts. You've probably believed your cat recognizes you the moment they see you, that their connection to you begins with your presence in front of them. But that's not when it starts. It starts before that, before the door opens, before your voice, before your footsteps even fully register. Your cat already knows you're there. Not because they saw you, but because they've been tracking you the entire time, quietly, constantly. Every sound you make, every pravichny ruch, every pattern you repeat without thinking. You think you enter your home. But in your cat's mind, you never really left. They've been holding a living map of you, where you should be, how you move when you return. And the moment reality matches that map, there's no surprise, just confirmation. This is why sometimes they don't rush to greet you, not because they don't care, but because nothing unexpected happened. You came back exactly the way you always do. And for your cat, that predictability isn't boring. It's safety, it's trust, built so deeply that it doesn't need to react loudly anymore. And once you see that, you realize something unsettling. Your cat isn't just reacting to you. They've already built you into their world. Think about something simple. You're sitting on the couch doing nothing special. Your cat is somewhere else in the house. Quiet, invisible. Most people assume the cat isn't paying attention, that they've gone off to do their own thing, but then, almost the exact moment you shift, stand up, or walk toward the kitchen, they appear, like they were waiting. Most people call this coincidence or instinct, or even joke that their cat is just obsessed with food. But that's not what's really happening. Your cat has been listening to you the entire time. The slight change in your breathing, the soft movement of your clothes, the familiar sound of your weight shifting on the couch. Signals so small you don't even notice them. But to your cat, they're loud, clear, meaningful. And over time, your cat has connected all of these signals into something bigger, a pattern of you, a rhythm they can follow without ever needing to see you. So when they suddenly show up, they're not reacting. They're continuing something that never stopped. And this is where it gets deeper. Because if your cat is always quietly aware of you, even when you think they're not there, then your presence isn't something they turn on and off. It's something they carry with them all the time. Now think about this. Your cat follows you from room to room, not always close, not always obvious. Sometimes they just exist nearby. Most people interpret this simply: my cat is curious, or they want food, or even they're bored. But that explanation doesn't hold up, because your cat doesn't follow everything, not every sound, not every movement, just you. And here's the deeper part most people miss. Your cat isn't just reacting to what you do. They're staying connected to where you are. That quiet presence, that subtle tracking, it's not about need. It's about orientation. In your cat's world, you are a fixed point, a reference, like a center they measure everything else against. This is why they settle in rooms where you spend the most time, why they return to spaces that carry your scent, why even when they seem distant, they're never completely out of sync with you. Because their world isn't just a place, it's a map. And you're at the center of it, not in an obvious, dramatic way, but in a quiet, constant one. And once you start noticing that and you realize something subtle but powerful, your cat doesn't just live with you, they live around you. And here's the part most people only understand too late. One day, something shifts. Your cat stops following you as much, stops appearing at the same moments, stops aligning with your rhythm the way they always did. At first it feels small, easy to ignore. Maybe they're just tired. Maybe they're in a different mood. That's how most people explain it. But your cat doesn't break patterns without a reason, not patterns built over days, months, sometimes years. Because everything we've talked about, the tracking, the quiet awareness, the way they build you into their world, that isn't casual. It's a system. And when that system changes, it means something inside their experience has changed too. Maybe something in their environment feels different. Maybe something in you feels different. Or maybe they're no longer as certain as they used to be. And here's what makes this difficult. Cats don't explain. They don't announce that something is wrong. They just adjust. Silently. And if you're not paying attention, you miss the moment where connection starts to fade. Not because they stopped caring, but because something interrupted the pattern they trusted. And once that happens, rebuilding it isn't automatic. At some point, if you've been paying attention, it becomes clear. Everything your cat does, the following, the waiting, the quiet awareness, it was never really about habit. And it wasn't about convenience either. It was about you, not what you give them, not the food, not the routine, you. Because in a world where your cat understands everything through patterns, scent, sound, and feeling, you became the one pattern that always meant safe. The one presence that didn't need to be questioned. The one place they could exist without thinking. And that changes how you see everything. Because when your cat tracks you from room to room, when they show up before you even call, when they quietly stay within reach, they're not just being attentive. They're staying close to the one thing that makes their world make sense. And here's the part that shifts everything. Your cat doesn't experience safety as a location. They experience it as you. Not the house, not the bed, not the routine, you. And that means every small moment you thought didn't matter was actually part of something much bigger. In the end, it was never about attention. Your cat doesn't follow you because they're bored. They don't appear because they want something. They don't stay close by accident. They do it because, in their world, you became something rare. Not just familiar, not just important, stable. You are the pattern that doesn't break. The presence that stays predictable in a world full of unknowns. The signal they learn to trust without hesitation. And that's why the quiet moments matter the most. When they sit in the same room without touching you. When they don't react because they don't need to. When they simply exist, Rodham, without asking for anything. That's not distance. That's complete certainty. Your cat doesn't need to check if you're safe. Because to them, you are what safe feels like. And maybe the most important part is this. They didn't have to choose you that way, but they did.